My name is Kevine Boggess. I'm the Education Policy Director at Coleman Advocates for Children and Youth in San Francisco. Our project was focused on getting the federal funds directed to support learning loss from COVID recovery through the implementation of personalized success plans for students to essentially outline where they had fallen behind and the district's plan to support them to get back on track and on pace with their educational plans and being successful. This project was relevant in so much that it really directed us to direct the district to center on the needs of students and families in a way that I think we typically feel happens in a way that is somewhat tokenizing to families where their input is taken in and not fully captured. And so for us, we really view this as an opportunity to really push with this influx of dollars to say, if this money goes anywhere, it needs to go to support the things that students and families view as being the most important. I think the biggest adaptation we did was realizing how much of the money the school district was planning to direct to existing services that had already kind of been outlined and planned versus for the creation of new initiatives and projects. A lot of the framing, both on the state level and the national level, was that there was going to be kind of a windfall of cash to be able to allow school districts to respond and react in different ways to the pandemic and the needs associated with it. And I think what we saw was that there wasn't as much flexibility within our budget and that it was really hard to kind of shake free those dollars. And so I think for us, one of the big things that we did was both to kind of continue that push, but also to make sure that we're monitoring kind of the follow-up process of how those dollars are actually spent versus how they were budgeted, and just to ensure that the district followed through on their commitments and what they have outlined to school communities and families. I think just staying really vigilant. One thing that's happening in our school district in San Francisco is we're beginning the process of doing a zero-based budgeting, in which we're going to look at the baseline funding for our schools and really re-examine if they're meeting the needs and what needs to be included in that baseline funding. So I think it really gives us the opportunity to really build and expand on the conversations from the federal funding to really say, how do we reintegrate and reorganize our entire school district to kind of meet the needs that we had identified for this funding to kind of be a first step to. So I think for us, there's a real clear line of continuation of pushing for this focus to say students and families need support right now. And that's where we need to be prioritizing our dollars so that we see successful results for everyone coming back from the pandemic. I think the biggest takeaway from participating and really kind of being able to hear and see other people's experiences is how different the individual work is depending on kind of the location of folks, but how common the issues and the themes that are coming up are. And so I think for me, it was really refreshing to be in community with other folks who are struggling, whether it was for an individual school district or for a state or multiple school districts, just really to kind of have the perspective and lesson learned from each of them and kind of the different places we're all at. It felt like we all had something to contribute and offer the collective to help us reach our individual goals. And the advice that I would have for new people coming into this space, um, I guess really to be open to asking questions of the presenters and other folks in the group, and just really understanding the importance of the collective wisdom of the space, and knowing that even if things aren't an exact parallel, that there's a lot of lessons that can be learned through victories, losses, and the fights that are kind of going on in different parts of the country.